Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, I'm Jan, and in this video we're diving deep into that shock twist season 4 finale, what it means for season 5, plus all the clues, callbacks and Easter eggs that predicted the big ending. Spoilers ahead of course, so take care. Season 4 ends on a bombshell, with Silver's dirty tricks paying off as Cobra Kai win the tournament. But Kreese's victory is short-lived, as Silver has him arrested after getting Stingray to frame Kreese for assault by preying on Raymond's weakness to be part of Cobra Kai. And Silver plans to take over the dojo franchise all for himself, now he's got rid of his own weakness.
I'm shedding my weakness, Captain.
Although Silver's betrayal comes as a shock to Kreese,
there is no one in the world I trust more than you.
It was hinted at back in the opening episode.
Turns out you disappearing was the best thing that ever happened to me.
As the head of Cobra Kai and a former army captain, Kreese is used to being the one in control, giving orders, and he regards Silver as his weak underling.
Do you remember the cage? We both thought we were going to die. I wasn't afraid. You were. If it wasn't for me, you'd still be back in that pit.
But Silver used Kreese's attitude against him this season.
What your opponent is thinking is key.
And if they think you're weak, that's when you can surprise them with your strength.
Although previously Silver has happily repaid Kreese's life-saving in Vietnam over the years,
anything you need, I'm there for you.
After so many decades, he's grown sick of Kreese continually throwing it in his face.
How many times do you expect me to repay that debt before we're square?
As Kreese himself said this season, to be a Cobra Kai, you have to have a killer instinct, and that's exactly what Silver has in the end. Another hint to Silver's behind-the-scenes machinations against his old army pal came when we saw him reading Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, who argued that a strong ruler or government with absolute powers was necessary to live in peace and avoid war and social conflict. The book was written during the English Civil War, and the constant fighting between Cobra Kai, Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do could be seen as an analogy. And with Silver now taking over Cobra Kai and disbanding the competition, he might well see himself as bringing peace and stability to the karate world in the valley. It's most unlikely though that Silver's seen the last of Kreese, as he won't go down without fighting back, as he said in the first episode.
You know, people expect men of our age to pack it in, but I still have some fight left in me.
Indeed, Silver would do well to remember what happened to their first captain in Vietnam when he took on Kreese. That was a seminal moment for Kreese becoming the man we know today, as even when the possibility arose for both men to make it out of their battle alive, Kreese chose no mercy. In season 4 though, we've seen a few cracks in Kreese's no mercy mantra. For instance, he told Silver to go easy on Johnny after he confronted him, and encouraged Tory to play it fair in the tournament, in contrast to how he urged his own students to use dirty tactics in the original Karate Kid.
I'm surprised you backed off on Nichols in the finals. That's not like you.
I had a moment of sympathy.
It seems Kreese is getting a sense of how wrong his extreme methods have been, and it's a hint that he could follow a redemption path of sorts in the future, especially if he finds that Johnny repays that small act of kindness by helping Kreese get out of his predicament. And we'll see whether Stingray ends up retracting his accusation against Kreese, or if he simply becomes Silver's yes man and punching bag at Cobra Kai, given his desperate desire to belong. Although Silver seems on top of the karate world by the end, he'll likely have to reckon with some fallout from Tory in season 5, because although he claims he's changed since the wild events of Karate Kid 3,
I'm not that man anymore.
In reality, he's just got more devious, so instead of using his vast fortune to acquire a killer Karate Kid of his own,
You just bought yourself a champion.
now he takes a more direct route with his money, bribing the tournament referee to ensure a Cobra Kai win. Silver's cheating not only robs the other dojos of a fair chance at the title, it also robs Tory of the sense of accomplishment and validation she's so desperate for.
If I could just win this one time, then I could look at that trophy and know I was best at something.
So how will she handle the situation now she knows she didn't win fair and square? Will she keep quiet, or will she stand up to Silver, especially if she discovers his part in Kreese's downfall? To answer that, let's go back to her final fight. Remember after she accidentally elbowed Sam in the eye that Silver insisted she do the same again, but deliberately this time.
She can't see, she can't fight.
Which, by the way, was one of his rules when he trained Daniel in the third movie, and part of the pain-provoking strategy he got Mike Barnes to employ in the final tournament. while Tory was having none of that in her finals.
Give her a shot to the other eye.
When I get disqualified, I don't need to cheat to win.
A moment which takes me back to the original movie and Bobby's fight against Daniel.
I want him out of commission. But I'll be disqualified.
Except in Tory's case, she sticks to her guns and Kreese actually backs his student this time.
Let her do what she wants. This is your fight now, so whatever happens, it's up to you.
Because Johnny reminded Kreese what he put him through back in the day.
Forced me to fight dirty.
Sweep the leg.
Sacrificed my soul just so Cobra Kai could stay #1.
So perhaps now Tory knows the referee was paid off, Silver may well end up regretting the advice that he gave the Cobra Kai students earlier this season.
Take all that anger and store it, because you're gonna need it when the time comes.
Robby may also prove a problem for Silver in season 5, especially after Robby gets a wake-up call that he's not been the kind of mentor he hoped to be when he finds new kid Kenny punching former bully Anthony in the locker room.
This is not how I trained you.
It's Cobra Kai, no mercy.
Intentionally or not, that Cobra Kai no mercy mantra is what Robby rammed home to Kenny during their tournament fight, and because Robby put passion in front of principle, he ended up proving true the Miyagi-ism that
even if you win, you lose.
Johnny warned his son about his old sensei earlier this season.
Kreese is brainwashing you just like he brainwashed me.
And Daniel also drew on his own Karate Kid 3 experience to warn Robby about Silver.
One day you'll find yourself with some poor kid's blood all over your shirt and you'll just hope it's not too late to change course.
But Robby believed he wasn't like his dad or Daniel. He was in control of the situation, using Cobra Kai to get what he wanted, taking their best and mixing it with Miyagi-Do. In the end though, Kreese's insistence that nothing matters but winning
It's about being a champion. That reputation will follow you the rest of your life.
still managed to pollute Robby's mindset.
And I'll use whatever it takes to win.
The upshot of it all is that instead of forging his own path as he believed he was, Robby has actually been perpetuating the damaging, merciless cycle kicked off in the 1980s by Kreese, who learned it from his captain in Vietnam, then passed it on to Silver, Johnny, Robby, and now to Kenny. So in the end, Robby has taken a similar road filled with obsession and hatred as both his sensei and his dad once took.
And I had all this hate inside of me, and I thought I could use Cobra Kai to control that, but it just made things worse.
However, Robby's recognition of what he's done is a step towards changing things, and it also opens the way to reconciliation with his father.
I'm sick of blaming you, Dad. It's gonna be alright.
And there's more hope ahead for this next generation of Karate Kids, as Daniel and Johnny also eventually recognise that the way they've been acting was more about protecting themselves and proving a point than looking out for the best interests of their students.
You and I may be set in our ways, but these kids, they can learn from both of us and use what we teach them to create their own way.
Too often, all the senseis have used their students to prove themselves right and feed their own egos, teaching them the brief sugar rush of self-esteem that comes with winning, instead of teaching them true resilience and self-compassion, which is gracious in victory and sees setbacks as a chance to learn.
You kicked ass today. Could have gone either way. Don't let it eat you up, trust me.
Although Johnny may have begun to repair the relationship with his son Robby in the finale, his role as a father figure to Miguel is on the rocks by the end, and Miguel decides to leave home and find his biological father.
I looked him up. It says he lives in Mexico now.
Johnny and Miguel's relationship comes under strain when Miguel trains at Miyagi-Do and gets closer to Daniel, who also becomes a father figure for a while, teaching him about fixing cars and opening up a different worldview. Johnny's attempts to reconnect go horribly wrong when he confesses he wants to be a good father to Miguel while drunk.
I love you. I love you too, Robby.
Their faltering relationship comes to a head just before his tournament fight with Hawk.
Whose side are you on?
Yours.
Are you sure?
Whose side are you on?
What do you mean? I'm on your side, Diaz. Always.
That, combined with his catastrophic fall and injury, makes Miguel reconsider everything. And Johnny's words,
Show me you're ready to be a man.
appear to be the final straw. In the letter he leaves, he says karate isn't enough anymore, and he needs to know where he came from to understand himself. Johnny tells Carmen he'll bring Miguel home, and given that Tanner Buchanan has been involved in season 5 filming in Puerto Rico, presumably standing in for scenes set in Mexico, it looks like Robby will also be going along for the trip. Although Miguel knows his father's been involved in illegal activity, what his mother never told him was that his father doesn't actually know Miguel even exists, so he could end up in a lot of trouble when he presumably manages to track his dad down. Midway through the season, the show already starts teeing up more of the original cast from the Karate Kid movies to make a splashy return in season 5.
Are there any other Cobra Kais from your past that are going to come out of the woodwork and destroy our lives?
No, I can't say that for sure.
And I'd lay money on a comeback from tournament terror Mike Barnes, the karate bad boy that Silver employed to wreak revenge on Daniel and Mr. Miyagi after Kreese went out of business. Bonds has already popped up in previous seasons via photos and film footage, and this season Daniel drops his name when he tells Johnny about their fight.
And after I beat Barnes, I never saw Silver again.
But what seals the deal in my mind for Barnes' return is what Silver says to Kreese as his former captain's hauled off by the police in the finale.
I'm sure I can dig up an old friend or two to help out with Cobra Kai while you deal with your legal problems.
Actor Sean Kanan, who played Barnes in the 80s, has said we probably haven't seen the last of Mike, that he's certainly open to returning and is a fan of the new show. And when asked if Barnes might have become a better person over the years, he said he hoped so, as he thought Barnes had got a bunch of bad wiring and messages as a kid, but was young enough then that with the right kind of mentorship, he could have turned it around. Given his negotiating skills in the movie, maybe Barnes would be keen to try and get a stake in Silver's new Cobra Kai franchise.
You fight as hard as you negotiate?
Harder.
You got your 50%.
Whatever Barnes' role in the show ends up being, Kanan has said he'd like to bring a lot more colours to the character, as he thought he was pretty one-dimensional back then. Along with Barnes, I wonder if we could also see some of Silver's henchmen back again. That's Snake, who was played by Jonathan Alvardsson, son of the director of the original trilogy, and Dennis, played by skilled martial artist and actor William Christopher Ford. Another blast from the past, who we know will certainly be back for Season 5, is Chozen. After appearing in Season 3 during Daniel's trip to Okinawa, Chozen is now stateside, and is all ready to team up with his former rival to take down Cobra Kai, as Daniel implies he won't be honouring his Season 3 agreement with Kreese for the tournament losers to close down their dojo.
There's too much at stake to honor an agreement made with men who have none. Will you help me finally put an end to Cobra Kai?
This is the second time Chozen has proven crucial in a Cobra Kai finale. At the end of Season 3, the secret Miyagi pressure points he previously taught Daniel saved his ex-enemy during his fight with Kreese.
If an enemy insists on war, then you take away their ability to wage it.
And now, after mending bridges last season,
And if it means anything, Chozen, I forgive you.
It means a great deal.
Chozen and Daniel are joining forces at Mr. Miyagi's graveside, complete with one of his beloved bonsai trees. Given that after the events of Karate Kid 2, Chozen became part of the Miyagi-Do family in Okinawa and has been for many years, it seems likely there will be less friction between these two new allies than there was between Daniel and Johnny when they tried to work together. And I'm curious whether he'll reveal any more new Miyagi techniques next season. Season 4 is also loaded with even more Easter eggs, hidden references and callbacks to the original Karate Kid movies, which I go into in more detail in my Things You Missed video. I'll add the link here and in the video description as soon as it's ready. So what did you think of the latest season, and what would you like to see happen in Season 5? Leave your comments below. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, it's hugely appreciated. Tap left to discover all the Easter eggs and details you might have missed in Season 4. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!